Alex's world was simple, built on hard work, and the kind of trust you give without a second thought. That trust was shining in his eyes as he knelt on one knee, holding a ring out to his girlfriend, Sarah. He was proposing not just out of love, but because of the incredible news she had just shared. She was pregnant. The thought of becoming a father, of starting a family, filled him with a joy so pure it was intoxicating. He eagerly agreed to a rushed wedding, blinded by the beautiful future he saw unfolding right before him. The ceremony was small and quick, just as Sarah wanted. It was perfect, or so he thought, but marriage changed things. Or rather, it changed Sarah. Almost overnight, a subtle shift began. She started to skillfully weave a web of isolation around Alex, starting with his own family. "They're too negative, Alex," she'd say, her hand resting protectively on her still flat stomach. "All that stress isn't good for the baby." He believed her, of course. Everything was for the baby. He distanced himself from his parents and siblings, fielding their concerned calls with rehearsed excuses. His friends were next. Late nights out were replaced with quiet evenings at home, just the two of them, and the supposed life growing inside her. Soon, his finances came under her complete control. "We need to save every penny for the baby," she declared one evening, her tone leaving no room for argument. He handed over his bank cards, his passwords, his financial freedom. Every purchase, no matter how small, was scrutinized. "A new pair of work boots? The old ones are fine. We need a top-of-the-line car seat. A lunch with a colleague? You could have brought leftovers and saved that money for diapers." Alex, wanting to be a good provider, a responsible future father, agreed to it all. He started working longer hours, picking up extra shifts, all to fill a savings account he no longer had access to. Months crawled by, and Alex's initial unshakable joy began to curdle into a quiet, gnawing unease. The baby bump he so eagerly awaited was barely there. Sarah would just laugh it off. "Oh, I'm just one of those lucky ones who doesn't show much." The medical details she shared were always vague, confusing, and inconsistent. One week, the doctor said everything was perfect. The next, there was a minor complication that required absolute bed rest, but when he'd ask for specifics, she'd get defensive. "Are you calling me a liar, Alex? The stress is bad for the baby?" The argument always ended there. How could he argue with that? An ultrasound was perpetually just around the corner. The clinic had to reschedule. She'd sigh. "They're so overbooked." A hospital slip she left on the counter for a routine checkup seemed off. The paper felt too flimsy, the ink slightly smudged, as if it were printed on a home computer. He pushed the thought away, blaming his own growing paranoia. He was just stressed, tired from all the extra work. He had to trust his wife. He had to. The crack in the facade, the one that would shatter his entire world, appeared during a chance encounter. He was picking up a prescription for Sarah at a pharmacy near the hospital when he ran into a man his brother knew, a respected obstetrician. Alex proudly mentioned his wife's pregnancy and the doctor she was seeing. The man's friendly smile faltered for just a second. He gave Alex a look, not of congratulations, but of deep, unmistakable pity. "You know," the doctor said quietly, his voice low, "it never hurts to get a second opinion, especially in complicated cases." He patted Alex on the shoulder and walked away, leaving Alex standing there, the doctor's cryptic warning echoing in his ears. Complicated cases? Sarah had said everything was fine. That single look of pity was the poison that finally broke through Alex's denial. The suspicion, once a quiet whisper, was now a roaring flood. He couldn't ignore it any longer. He had to know the truth. With a heavy heart, he did some research. He found a private lab that offered non-invasive prenatal paternity tests. He presented the idea to Sarah under the guise of an advanced genetic screening, a way to check for any potential health issues for the baby. "It's the best thing for our child," he said, his own words tasting like ash in his mouth. To his surprise, she agreed, seemingly unfazed. Perhaps he was wrong. Perhaps he was losing his mind. He prayed he was wrong. The sample was collected, the test was run, and the results were scheduled to arrive on a very specific day, the day of a large family gathering. A baby celebration party that Sarah had insisted on to finally announce their wonderful news to the few friends and family she still allowed in their lives. The house was filled with people, a crowd of smiling faces that Alex felt completely detached from. He felt like an actor in a play he no longer understood. He saw his parents across the room, their faces etched with a worry they tried to hide. He hadn't had a real conversation with them in months. Then a courier arrived. A crisp white envelope was delivered right to the front door, addressed to him. This was it. Sarah, busy entertaining guests, beamed at him from across the room, blissfully unaware. With trembling hands, Alex walked to a quiet corner of the living room. The joyful chatter of the party faded into a dull hum. He tore open the envelope. His eyes scanned the technical jargon, the percentages, the medical terms, and then he saw it. The conclusion written in stark, bold letters. Probability of paternity, 0%, not the father. The words blurred, and for a moment, the world went silent. The air in his lungs turned to ice. It was true. There was no baby. It was all a lie. The silence that fell in his mind was heavier than any sound he had ever heard. But as his eyes refocused, they scanned further down the page to a secondary analysis section of the report. The test hadn't just revealed the absence of his DNA. It had revealed something else. An affair, a deep, sickening betrayal that cut far deeper than the phantom pregnancy. The report detailed a genetic link, a familial match, implicating someone else as the potential father. Someone with a DNA profile closely related to his own. His gaze slowly lifted from the paper, his heart pounding a slow, cold rhythm against his ribs. He looked out at the room full of celebrating family. His brother laughing with Sarah's cousin, his own father talking to an old friend. The truth was in that room. The betrayal wasn't just Sarah's. It was shared by someone close to him, someone who was smiling at him right now. Sarah had planned everything. Every lie, every manipulation, every dollar she took from him. She had orchestrated this entire fantasy to trap him, to isolate him, to drain him. The one thing she hadn't planned for, the one variable she never considered, was the look in Alex's eyes as he lowered the paper. It wasn't anger, not yet. It wasn't sorrow. It was a cold, terrifying calm. The calm of a man whose world hadn't just crashed, but had evaporated into nothing. He looked at Sarah, then at the faces of his family, and he knew that nothing would ever be the same again. His life as he knew it was over, and a new, terrifying chapter was just beginning. Thank you so much for watching. If you were moved by Alex's story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.